Speaker, this morning we learned of the Premier using his trademark My Way or the Highway approach once again as he issued an ultimatum to the unions representing school bus drivers and school custodians. If they don't accept his imposed changes to their pension plan, then he will ram legislation through this House to get the changes he wants in contempt of a signed collective agreement. This is a growing trend for the Premier with his pet projects. He didn't like the fracking moratorium, so he circumvented the process to create an exception. He didn't like the former education minister's approach to French immersion reform. Well, that of my assembly, I'll find a new minister. Why has the Premier misled these workers, and what is a contract even worth if he can't keep his word?
The Honourable Premier.
So, Mr. Speaker, once again, it would be nice if the member opposite would just get the facts straight, even for once, Mr. Speaker. The point that I said earlier, you know, on November 13th, 2021, there was a memorandum of agreement that was agreed between CUPE 2745 to negotiate the terms and conditions of a new pension plan by June 30th, 2022. June 30th, 2022, over a year and a half away, Mr. Speaker. We're beyond that. February 25th, 2022, an MEO agreed with CUPE 1253 to negotiate terms and conditions of a new pension plan by August 31st, 2022. Mr. Speaker, there have been some extensions made to it that ended in November of 2022, Mr. Speaker. So we're well over a year beyond and no progress. No progress on pensions that have a liability of as low as 60%, Mr. Speaker, unfunded. Mr. Speaker, a liability to the taxpayers of $285 million, Mr. Speaker. And what we're saying is we can fix all of this, have a pension plan that's sustainable and that's agreed with taxpayers and funding.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Kent North.
Talk about getting the facts straight. This Premier, they have offered a solution, and this Premier has kept silent about it, and now is forcing them to choose a poison pill. How can this caucus support a Premier who cannot keep a deal? The deal was bargaining in good faith. There has not been any good faith. How many times will they let him get away with it? This way of functioning is creating a very dangerous precedent to the core roots of collective bargaining, workers' rights, and the integrity of the Industrial Relations Act. These Conservatives have been ripping up social contract after social contract and wondering who's next. As someone involved in unions before being elected, the Minister of Petal knows the importance of signed agreements. Will she stand in this House today and commit to not bringing legislation to circumvent negotiated collective agreements?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I think I need to correct another faux pas that the member opposite has put forward, or at least make corrections on what was proposed by CUPE. So, Mr. Speaker, in relation to the proposal that was made, it was a CAT program for Ontario. And, Mr. Speaker, to put our funds into that program, which we wouldn't want to go to an Ontario program versus a New Brunswick program, but taking that aside, in order to do that, Mr. Speaker, it would cost the New Brunswick taxpayers just short of $1 billion, Mr. Speaker, to transfer the funds. Just short of $1 billion. Wow. And, Mr. Speaker, it's not fair to taxpayers and employees because it had a 70-30 relationship related to funding. So it wasn't fair to the taxpayers either, Mr. Speaker. What we're proposing is a fair solution to taxpayers and employees, a balanced approach, Mr. Speaker. So I would like the member opposite to really understand the facts and understand the agreement, because, Mr. Speaker, there is no breach, there is no lack of trust, there is only misinformation that's being put forward, Mr. Speaker.